The alarm clock blared, signaling the start of a day that would forever be etched into my memory as the most terrifying experience of my life, my first day on the job. I had landed a position at a renowned tech startup, my dream job, or so I thought. Little did I know, the horrors that awaited me within the walls of that seemingly innocuous office building. I stumbled out of bed, my heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and nerves. Today was supposed to be the beginning of a new chapter in my life, a fresh start filled with promise and opportunity. But as I dressed in my best professional attire, a sense of unease gnawed at the pit of my stomach, a foreboding sense of dread that I couldn't shake. As I made my way to the office, the streets seemed eerily deserted, the early morning fog cloaking everything in a thick, gray haze. It was as if the world itself knew of the horrors that awaited me, warning me to turn back before it was too late. But I pressed on, my determination outweighing my fear as I arrived at the office building, a towering monolith of concrete and glass that loomed ominously against the skyline. The lobby was empty, save for the receptionist, a stoic figure with cold, unblinking eyes that seemed to bore into my soul as I approached. She handed me my security badge with a thin-lipped smile, her gaze lingering on me for a moment too long before she turned back to her computer screen, dismissing me with a wave of her hand. I shivered, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end as I made my way to the elevator, a sinking feeling settling in the pit of my stomach. The elevator ride was excruciatingly long, the silence broken only by the soft hum of the overhead lights and the occasional creak of the cables as we ascended higher and higher into the bowels of the building. With each passing floor, my anxiety grew, a sense of impending doom hanging heavy in the air. Finally, with a jolt, the elevator came to a stop, and the doors slid open to reveal a scene straight out of a nightmare. The hallway stretched out before me like a never-ending labyrinth, the walls lined with flickering fluorescent lights that cast eerie shadows on the floor. I stumbled out of the elevator, my heart pounding in my chest as I tried to shake off the feeling of dread that clung to me like a suffocating shroud. My new colleagues passed me by without a second glance, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of indifference as they disappeared into their offices, leaving me alone in the dimly lit corridor. With trembling hands, I made my way to my own cubicle, a cramped, windowless space tucked away in the far corner of the office. The air was thick with the scent of stale coffee and fear, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes were following my every move from the shadows. I tried to focus on my work, to bury myself in the tasks at hand and block out the creeping sense of unease that threatened to overwhelm me. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong, that I was trapped in some kind of twisted nightmare from which there was no escape. As the day wore on, the horrors only seemed to escalate. Strange noises echoed through the office, a soft whisper here, a distant scream there, that sent shivers down my spine and made my blood run cold. Shadows danced at the edges of my vision, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched by unseen eyes from the darkness beyond. But perhaps the most horrifying part of all was the people, the other employees who seemed to have lost all semblance of humanity, their faces twisted into rictus grins as they went about their work with an almost mechanical precision. There was something wrong about them, something unnatural, that made my skin crawl and my stomach churn with dread. I tried to ask for help, to reach out to my colleagues and supervisors for guidance, but no one would listen. They brushed off my concerns with dismissive smiles and hollow reassurances, as if my terror was nothing more than a minor inconvenience to be ignored. And so I suffered in silence, trapped in a waking nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. Hours stretched into days, days into weeks, and still the horrors persisted, each day more terrifying than the last. But just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, when I was on the brink of madness, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A fellow employee, a kindred spirit who had also fallen victim to the horrors of the office, reached out to me in secret, offering me a lifeline, a way out of the nightmare that had consumed us both. Together, we hatched a plan to escape, to flee from the clutches of the malevolent force that held us captive and find our way back to the world of the living. It wasn't easy, and we faced countless obstacles along the way, but in the end, we emerged victorious, our sanity intact and our spirits unbroken. As I stepped out of the office building for the last time, the weight of the horrors I had endured lifted from my shoulders, replaced by a sense of relief and gratitude that I was finally free. The sun was shining brightly overhead, and the world seemed to sparkle with newfound possibility, a stark contrast to the darkness that had consumed me for so long. And as I walked away from that accursed place, leaving behind the nightmares of my first day on the job, I made a solemn vow to myself that I would never forget the horrors I had endured, that I would carry them with me always as a reminder of the strength and resilience that lie within us all.